A very good morning to you, Naledi. Most definitely, it's been a rolling coverage. It's been a marathon of engagements here on the ground in the Cape Town International Convention Centre. Today marking the last day, and it's going to be a short one when we look at the program that is set to get underway at about 9:30 or so. This is where we'll see the Africa Energy Colloquium just sit, those ideas just coming in thick and fast from the 8 African countries that are forming part of this 2023 Africa Energy Indaba. Most of them really just talking about solutions. It's been about solution-oriented conversations that are happening here, fireside chats, especially those that are centered around renewable energies and just tapping into the untapped resources on the African continent. It's been what we can expect really today going forward. I'm going to bring into the conversation now, Naledi, the Zimbabwean Energy Regulatory Authority. This is a delegate from Zimbabwe who comes through to just let us in on and reflect with us on how the past 3 days, the past 2-3 days have been. Today being the final day. Mandarai and Rovi, welcome to the SABC. Zimbabwe has had its fair share really of challenges. The economy has not been moving the way it should be moving. We've seen you actually relying more on a lot of African and neighboring countries, and you're looking forward to also ensuring that the Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement find its meaning here. We're talking about renewable energies as well. Some of those resources that Zimbabwe has the potential to offer, but they haven't been tapped into. Welcome to the SABC.
Thank you very much and good morning.
Yeah, let us in really on Zimbabwe, the challenges that exist right now, and really what were your key takeaways, something that you're going to take to Zimbabwe to say that this is the role that we played as part of the African countries that were in South Africa, and these are the solutions that we can implement going forward.
Thank you very much. I think first and foremost, it has been quite an experience to come this side and appreciate the various technologies that are actually being developed to address this energy crisis that we are currently having. Not only are we looking at the renewable energy side in terms of generation, but we are also looking at technologies that are also addressing the needs of the country. You know, even reduction in terms of the carbon emissions. I was actually impressed to then see also the electric vehicles, you know, and the developments that have been happening in the EV sector, which we can also benefit from. So I think we need to take these developments from both ends, on the supply side through the generation, the using of renewable energy technologies, as well as on the demand side in terms of the technology that we can then use to then enhance our lives through the EV mobility platforms.
I mean, Zimbabwe has had its fair share of challenges as well right now. Hence, really we're seeing you inching here and looking for those solutions. The economy has not been moving for quite some time. There have been concerns here at home, and also I know in Zimbabwe of just the reality of what a day zero can mean in the electricity space, the total blackout, as we mentioned, something that would really be detrimental to the economies of the country. Is this something that is a concern also in Zimbabwe, looking at the fact that you're experiencing load shedding as we speak?
Yes, it's a concern, and I'm glad to say that we have not been sitting and doing nothing, and I'm glad to mention that there has been a lot of collaboration between the Zimbabwean companies through independent power producers and South African EPC contractors. We have seen projects that have been commissioned, you know, through that collaboration. So I'm happy to say, you know, this deficit has actually given us an opportunity to then see how we can address this, to give us the opportunity to address these challenges. So there has been a lot of collaboration that has been ongoing between South African companies through EPC contracts, through the supplying of technology, transformers, solar PV modules, inverters, to address these challenges that we are currently facing.
You are the Energy Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe. I know very well that you deal with tariffs as well, and we know here at home, NESA hasn't really been a fan favorite of some of those people after implementing that 18.6% tariff hike that will kick in. Just let us in on the role of the Regulatory Authority, especially working with government and the Department of Energy in ensuring really that the men and women on the ground there, they also they don't get hard done on when some of these tariffs are implemented?
Yes, thank you very much. I think what is key when it comes to issues of tariffs and affordability is to strike a balance between the people that are investing in this sector to ensure that that service in terms of energy provision is available to the end consumer. And also to the end consumer, what they require is the value for money, because it's also it's hard-earned money, which means they also deserve to have a reliable supply of electricity. So as the regulators, we sit in between both the investors and the consumers to ensure that we strike a balance. But I'm glad to say in Zimbabwe, where we have managed to actually more like reach that cost reflectivity, to say the investors are getting real return value for their investments. The consumers are also happy because they are paying for a service that they are getting, which means there is a strike, there is a balance between both the end consumer and the investors. So cost reflectivity is a term that we are talking about these days, and we strive to actually ensure that there is cost reflectivity and there is affordability in terms of energy provision in Zimbabwe.
I want to give you a short moment to just sell Zimbabwe, to our viewers, to the African continent right now, in terms of those solutions. We're inching towards solutions. We want an economy that is really viable, imports and exports, and we want investors also to ensure that at least they invest into the African continent and Zimbabwe, so that Zimbabwe can be able to flourish and move. I want you to tell us about those untapped resources that you have there in Zimbabwe, that really someone that is watching right now, and those delegates that are here, and the investors that are here as well, I can say that Zimbabwe is the place to go. Just briefly, just let us in on Zimbabwe. Sell it to us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I just want to encourage our investors to come into Zimbabwe and partner with us in terms of energy project development. We do have vast resources in terms of renewables, plenty of solar, plenty of wind, plenty of small hydro projects that can actually be developed in Zimbabwe. So we are actually encouraging investors to come into Zimbabwe and partner. We do have almost about 2,000 megawatts of licensed projects that are waiting for partnerships to actually be developed and be commissioned. And we are not only looking at Zimbabwe as the only market for this energy, but because of the centrality of Zimbabwe, we are also looking at the export market, because we are already interconnected with the Southern African power pool. So the market is very wide, not only limited to Zimbabwe, but also looking at the Southern African power pool as a market for that energy. So come to Zimbabwe and invest in Zimbabwe. We are open for business.
Manarayan Dorovi, thank you very much, sir, for your time. He's coming through from the Zimbabwean Energy Regulatory Authority there. He was selling Zimbabwe. I gave him this opportunity to sell Zimbabwe because all of those countries that are here have been coming through for solutions. They've been coming through and knocking and asking for just collaboration in just getting it right. South Africa getting it right would mean Zimbabwe getting it right. Zimbabwe getting it right would mean Uganda getting it right. And in general, that value chain, the energy value chain, is intact and protected. Now,